Hello, everyone. We're here today to talk about Nugent's new strategic plan, Imagine Our World. And I'm here today with John Sims, who's Executive Director of Property, to talk about the accommodation theme. So, John, can you start by giving us an overview of Nugent's property accommodation services?
Yes, I can. So at Nugent, we offer a number of different services, mainly revolving around adult and children's care. That means from an accommodation perspective, we've got a number of residential properties. Some of them are more specialist. We've got a property in Egbert in Liverpool, for example. It's St. Joe's for acquired brain injuries. So that's a very different level of accessibility and layout from a property perspective. We've also got a number of other residential properties on the adults services side. So we've got Limehouse, which is an elderly residential home. We've got Margaret Roper House, which is a residential mental health home, and the pretty, we always try and give property and offer accommodation that's of a high standard, because of the nature of Nugent. Obviously, we got gifted a lot of properties by the Archdiocese, and moving more into what we've got for children's. We've got Lime Grove Cottage, which is on the same site as Limehouse. It's a bungalow layout, registered children's home. We've also got Marydale, which is a secure children's home. It's one of only 12 in the country. It's specialist accommodation, obviously at a secure standard, and it's amazing that we can provide that service, but it's almost sad that that service is even needed.
So just talk to me about why accommodation is pivotal to support people through our pathway, and particularly aligned with our new strategic plan.
I think accommodation is pivotal and linking into our pathway and what we want to provide to people moving forward as part of our strategy, because it provides people that safe foundation for everything else they're going to do. We want to be able to provide safe, secure, high standard accommodation to everyone who finds themselves with Nugent for one reason or another, because that acts then as the launch pad to do other things. So when you're looking at other strategic aims around employability, quality of life, making memories, a lot of the other things we're doing, poverty alleviation as well. If you haven't got that safe space, that safe launch pad to call home, then it makes all of those other areas of life for people very difficult.
Yeah, I think when we were developing the plan, we talked about social mobility, and we believe that actually, as you say, accommodation means that you can actually participate in the other themes in a productive way to have a brighter future. So we know that accommodation is our key foundation for a much brighter future for people's pathways. How do you ensure that our accommodation isn't just a roof over somebody's head, that it's actually fit for the pathway journey we want people to be on?
Well, I think that when we look at like the acquisition of new properties in particular, we know what the scope is for a service we want to provide. You've really got to consider how people are going to use that property, how people are going to live in that property. So, for example, we've one of the pathways that we've already started developing is for care leavers. We've got a property which is a great 5-bed detached property that is a shared living arrangement, and it's of a really high standard. Now, we only acquired that property with the sole purpose of being care leaver accommodation, because we knew that some of the issues that care leavers find are when you leave care, you obviously you get to a point where you've got a totally different level of support around you compared to when you were in a home. Some people are ready to live independently and just run away and fly and live in their own flat, and that's totally fine. Other young people need a little bit more support and a little bit of peer support as well. So we found that a shared living arrangement for a lot of care leavers can be massively beneficial to avoid that social isolation that can sometimes happen when you leave care. So I think for us, anytime we look at the properties we've got, look at the development opportunities with the properties we've got, or look at acquiring new properties, we also consider the use first, just to make sure that whatever we're providing to people gives them exactly what they need.
So thinking about our current services, which are, predominantly residential services, let's just describe to people what an accommodation journey could look like, from someone being in a children's services to edge of care to care leavers to supported living.
Yeah, so as a children's home, the ideal thing for us is that it passes the safe locations test. Ofsted are happy with it as accommodation, but ultimately it doesn't just feel like a house. It doesn't feel institutional. Very much feels like a home. We do that by ensuring, we don't want to. You never really want accommodation that's used as a children's home that's huge in size. That's that can, sometimes be a bit of a rabbit warren, and have too many rooms. You'd either want it to be narrowed down to its use. So if we have a 3-placement children's home, the maximum number of bedrooms you probably want is 4, just to ensure that feels like a home. It feels like, what a home is for anyone, that you've got that home environment, and you've got that correct living space for that gives you everything you need at that time in life. When it comes to care leaver, like I say, some care leavers might want to make the jump right at that point, might want to live in their own home, their own flat independently. But where we feel that, someone might need a little bit more support and some peer support, that a shared living arrangement can be really beneficial to people. So we'd want a really high standard of accommodation in that scenario, like really high spec student accommodation, in a way where you've got shared kitchen, dining and large facilities, as well as everyone having their own lockable front door with a nice spacious room and ensuite bathroom as well. Then hopefully, as we continue to develop the pathways, the endpoint for anyone going through care would be to have that independent place to live when they're ready to take that jump. And again, quality is key. You want to provide high quality accommodation that is exactly what someone needs. That could be initially a flat that is 1 or 2 bed, provides enough space for them to act as that launch pad for them to go out and sustain their own tenancy, take advantage of education and employability opportunities they've hopefully been given as they go through that pathway. And then that's probably the best endpoint on that pathway.
Will you need to have been in the care system to access one of Nugent's accommodation?
No. There's going to be a number of different pathways that we want to provide to people. Some properties we've got in development that will be in the Sefton area are going to be part of the domestic abuse pathway. Hopefully, an endpoint to that pathway for people when they've removed themselves from whatever situation they found themselves in, and they actually then can once again get back on their feet and live independently. We'll have accommodation there ready for those people. That's just one example, and I think everything we're looking at ties into a pathway. It's never necessarily a pathway where you've had to have come from a Nugent home to be there, or another Nugent provision. It's more about providing that to the areas we support. If people who are with us now in one form or another can take advantage of some of the properties we've got, then great. But we'd never just isolate them just to those people.
So, John, why do you think we need to provide accommodation with this support and services?
Well, I think it's obviously very well known that there's a housing crisis at the moment. There's a 1.5 million home target nationwide that needs to be filled, and we're in the process of becoming a registered housing provider at the moment, so that we can do our bit, if you like, to fill that void that people and communities are definitely facing at the moment. Our aim is to be able to, where we can, provide accommodation to people that also may require a level of support. That is almost a niche and a specialism that we think can almost get neglected when the numbers of homes being developed is a priority. Sometimes there's pathways as we are trying to fill that can be left out or neglected when homes are being allocated. And I think that we really want to make sure that we're filling those gaps, and that if you find yourself on a pathway of care in one form or another, whether that be as a care leaver, or if that is from being homeless, or it's rehabilitating from mental health issues, there should be earmarked properties for people on those pathways, because they're very much in need of that endpoint accommodation when you get there.
And we've been discussing with developers who are our partners about us being their provider of choice for social housing and their RP, because we see that registered housing providers don't offer the support that we'd like to offer to make tenancies and quality of life successful, and also about compatibility, about living in communities together in social housing. How important are those Pathway Alliance partners in terms of us achieving this goal?
Those Pathway Alliance partners are vital. I think that we can only do so much alone, and alone we are very limited in terms of resource and opportunity that we've got within our own portfolio in terms of land and potential to redevelop. We really want to partner with house builders and developers on opportunities that not only provide them with a registered provider for their Section 106 affordable homes, but also give us the opportunity to use those homes in a specialist way. I think that what I found really encouraging when you look at the various talking and themes that you find in conferences at the moment, and general, property conversations, is that placemaking is a vital part of making communities, and the scale at which we're talking about house building over the next few years. Placemaking is going to be key, because to not correctly plan areas and communities around what is needed within those areas already could just lead to future problems where the right level of supported accommodation isn't being provided in areas that need it the most. And you led to then a gap where further development's needed to find that elsewhere, or there's huge waiting lists and people don't get the supported accommodation you need. We really want to be able to be a factor in that placemaking, so that where supported accommodation is required, we can be that provider.
Yeah, and I think we've really campaigned that people talk about public and private relationships. We want public, private, and the voluntary sector to be included in these developments, so that we've got that whole place approach to make these schemes really successful, so that those developments with the public, private investment, and us as a registered housing provider with support to make these schemes successful and bring a quality of life and a brighter future to the people we support.
Absolutely. I think that what I think that Nugents are going to do over the next few years, as well as developing our own housing offer, is ensuring that we maintain the quality of the services we provide as well. Because not only do we going to become a registered housing provider and really venture forward from a development perspective, and from an increase in the accommodation we can provide, we also want to enable that we continue to support the people we already do support. And I think that's a vital part of any kind of property conversation, is the and more so in housing than anything else at the moment, that you need to really take care of the assets and the properties that you have existing in your portfolio when you're looking to make strides in development. So I really think that we need to be mindful of that as we go forward.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. That was our session on accommodation from our strategy of Imagine Our World.